This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Something exciting. $1 billion of USDT was just mined right now in the Tether treasury. You don't know what that means, right?
Speaking Japanese to me, brother.
Yeah, that means there's stable coins is like dollars. It's like money. And so right now there's several $1 billion that are sitting there right now in stable coins, and they're waiting for the what's it called, the tax cut to come from the Fed next month, and you're going to see billions poured into crypto and you're going to see very soon now, you're about to see some parabolic run, because there's a lot of people are changing their money into altcoins, and they're ready to go buy some crypto. So that's $1 billion that they just minted.
Billion.
So that's,
you gotta say it like Dr. Evil back in the day, yeah.
$1 billion.
Billion.
Yes. $1 billion. Yes. All right, man. So talk to me. What's the latest as we get ready for this game? We're 11 days away?
Just about, yeah. We'll have football officially on Saturday with Florida State and Georgia Tech playing in Dublin, Ireland. So we'll actually have a game to watch, a real game.
Dude, I'm kind of tempted to take the 11.5 points with Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I mean, I think anytime you lose as much as Florida State does, having a double-digit spread in another country is kind of a tricky proposition, right? So,
and I don't trust the ukulele.
Right. Yeah, he's not always Mr. Reliable either with terms of the way he throws the ball down the field.
So there's you know what, you mentioned Germany. I thought it was at Georgia Tech, so it's at Germany. Okay, so that takes
no,
away.
it's in Ireland, Dublin, Ireland. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so the Georgia Tech advantage is out, so they're not going to have. But Georgia Tech is actually better. So there's a part of me, it's like I would not be surprised. I don't expect Georgia Tech to win at all, but I just kind of wouldn't be surprised if first game out they made it interesting and they lost by 5 or 7 points. You know?
Right. I think it'll be a close game. Georgia Tech's got a good quarterback in Haynes King, a guy who's a playmaker. They got a good running back. Ran for over 1,000 yards last year. They've got guys on offense. Their issue is just defense, and I think Florida State's strength is defense, and their question mark is offense. So it may be a low scoring game. Maybe this is the game to take the under, just a little bit, because I think there may not be a ton of points in the first game.
I don't take the Georgia Tech plus 11.5. You don't like it?
No, you could take the Georgia. I'm pretty confident it's going to be a one-score game. But I would say the under. I don't know what the over/under is, but I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game.
The over and under is 55 points.
Yeah, I could see this being like 23-20, 23-17, something like that.
I'm taking the 11.5, bro. That's what I'm doing.
Okay. All right. Go for it. Enjoy.
So might as well, let's finish this off, by the way. Miami is favored by 2.5 against Florida. What do you think about that?
I think the Gators are not going to win. I think they're weak up front on the offensive line. I'm picking Miami to win. So I would take Miami in the points. Will it be a close game? Yeah, I think it'll be a one-score game. Potentially, 10 points at the most, but it's not going to be. We'll be in the fourth quarter, little concerned, because it is still the Swamp and it is still an SEC school. So I think Miami wins the game.
Yeah, and by the way, it's one of the pressure on Mario for this first game.
Mm-hmm.
It's enormous, dude, because this is like you lose this game and right away you lost the fan base. Right away you lost the fan base. And then in order for you to win them back, you're going to have to run off like 9 in a row after, something. You're going to have to do something special. The pressure on him to win that game is enormous.
Yeah, I mean, I think you look at Miami traditionally, when they get off to a good start, it snowballs a little bit that way. I think when they lose a game like this, if they lose the first one, it could spiral the other way. just because you don't know how the team's going to respond in the locker room. But I got faith that they're going to win the game, and I think they're gonna get off to a good start. And the schedule is very favorable for them. After that game, you get USF in Tampa essentially 3 weeks later. USF will score points, but they don't have much in the way of defense. Virginia Tech is your ACC home opener. Then you got Cal, who's a 500 ACC team, and then you got Louisville and Florida State. And so to me, those are the two marquee games: Louisville, Florida State. And this 9.5 wins is a very doable number for Miami this year.
Well, I mean, this is the year that you better get it done, because after a season like this is your opportunity to like say, okay, I'm 3 years in, I got my guys. You see, this is what you guys are going to see from here on out. A season where you falter a couple times, all you're going to do is maybe seal your fate with the fan base, that they're going to say, yeah, he's not the guy. And then that was what I told you, that we talked about this last year, that Mario will have to make a quick turnaround, because they're not going to fire him in a year or two. But if you're not convincing in the next year or two, by year 5 or 6, that's when they can start to say, okay, well, this guy's not the guy. Now there's a few less years left on the deal. Maybe we can try to negotiate a buyout and get out of this at this point in time. So really, these next 2 years are so crucial for Mario to like kind of convince people that you're the guy, because if you don't, it's kind of like what I deal with Heat fans all the time. Well, no, this is the year that Bam's going to, really take over and become an offensive threat. No, this is the year that Tyler Hero stays healthy, that kind of shit, right?
Right.
This is the year that Mario gets it and he figures it. And that's what it's going to end up becoming if you don't get it done here in the next year or two.
Yeah, and look, it all spirals one way or the other, right? I think the moment a coach loses the confidence of the fan base, loses the confidence of recruits, there's really no recovering from that, right? You would need to basically coach your ass off and pull off a bunch of upsets to keep it going in the other way. And to this point, I think it's a fair criticism of Mario to say, well, he's never necessarily going to line up and beat you with his X's and O's. He's going to beat you with the Jerry's and Joes that he recruits. And so he needs to keep stacking talent upon talent, and the way that he has in these first 2 years, where he's gotten really good recruiting classes, he's gotten really good transfers to come in. But if that momentum stops and you lose to Florida and it spirals into another couple more losses and you go 8-4 or 7-5, you never really recover from that. The momentum never really recovers from that. And so I think you're right for all those reasons.
All right. So let me ask you, Canes wise, who are the guys up for those big awards? Because you need to win. But if your guy is part of the Heisman race or the Thorpe race or this or that or whatever, those kind of things also sell for Mario. And then, obviously getting these guys to the league, winning, getting these guys to the league, getting exposure, being some of the top players at your position. Give us, as Canes fans, any of our guys up considered for any of these kind of awards.
Well, I mean, obviously, it all starts with Cam Ward. He was the ACC preseason player of the year. So, Miami to this point has yet to have a conference player of the year since it joined the league. So if he were to follow through and Miami wins the conference and you get the conference player of the year, you're probably going to be up for the Heisman, which is usually what happens. The best player in the ACC, it's a quarterback, and they're usually in the Heisman discussion. So I would think at the very least that's the main marquee guy. I think Damian Martinez, he's averaged 6.1 yards per carry his first 2 years in college football. He's got a good offensive line in front of him. He's a guy that will be up in the Doak Walker conversation because Miami's still going to run the football. Even if they throw it a ton with Cam Ward, I could see Damian Martinez having a big year in terms of touchdowns and just production and being a marquee guy on a good team for sure. I think wide receiver, you don't necessarily have a true number one guy who's, Bolitnikoff worthy. I think Xavier Restrepo will be the leader in receptions. I think Jacoby George will probably lead the team in receiving yards, and you'll probably have Sam Brown or somebody else, Isaiah Horton, lead the team in touchdown catches. So I don't think anybody there at that position. I don't think Elijah Arroyo is going to win the Mackey Award. I doubt Miami will have anybody up for the Lombardi, offensive line type award or even defensive line. I think, I would say Martinez and Ward, and then probably Kiko Mauinoa, the linebacker, because he did lead the ACC in tackles for loss last year. He is preseason All ACC at linebacker. He's a guy that could be up for the Butkus Award. A guy who goes late into the year. He's gonna lead the team in tackles again. He'll be highly productive. And if Miami's good, you know how these awards work. Oh, it's all about how good your team is, right? Unless you have some ridiculous numbers like Jaden Daniels did last year, you're not gonna have award winners. So I think as long as Miami has team success, those three guys I would say are the main marquee that I would say will be up for awards.
If Miami is going to win 10 plus games, besides Cam Ward, the reason is why?
The offensive and defensive lines. I think they're so strong up front on both sides that physically I think they're going to wear a lot of teams down. I don't think anybody has recruited as well on the offensive and defensive line in the league as Miami has. I think Clemson's defensive line recruiting is very, very good. I think Florida State has done a good job developing guys on the offensive line. They got a lot of depth there. But I think collectively, you say offensive and defensive line, nobody's done it better than Mario these last couple of years. And I think ultimately that's why they're going to be a legitimate contender. Whether we want to sit here and point to quarterback and receivers and playmakers and, hey, you got to score points in college football. The bottom line is, look at Michigan. Why did they win the national title last year? Oh, because they dominated both sides of the line of scrimmage. Go back to Georgia the 2 years prior to that. Why did they win the national title? They dominated the line of scrimmage.
Supposedly Harbaugh had a little Belichick in him too.
Well, yeah. Well, we can't forget that. But look, he still had some dudes on both sides of the line, man. Like that's the bottom line. You got to be able to push the dude out of the way in front of you. And Washington had a ridiculously prolific offense. What happened in the national championship game? They didn't score as much as they were used to, and Michigan ran the ball all over them. So I think that formula is tried and true. And I think as long as you have a good quarterback who knows how to protect the football, and they do this year with Cam Ward, then you'll be in the running. And I think if Cam Ward has a huge year, that's only going to help Miami more and more with transfer portal.
It also helps to be a fan of the Alan Parsons Project. I am the eye in the sky.
Yeah.
Look at you. I can cheat you blind. So, that helps, Jim.
It does. Hey, listen, if you're not cheating, you're not really trying, are you?
Is he taking that to LA? I'm wondering.
I don't know. I mean, other guys in the NFL have gotten away with it, right? So,
yeah, I mean, he took a page out of Belichick. So, yeah, I guess so. So
it's worked for others.
Yeah, I guess so. All right. So, what do you got going on in the Athletics so folks can check out, sir?
I am overwhelmed with work right now.
Sky, say for you. What's the eye in the sky?
Well, we just came out with our ACC preview today, brother. That took a while for me to do. That came out today. All the tiers, in terms of the conference, ranking teams in tiers. We did that. We have the best of the ACC, where I rank the best players. That'll be coming out later this week. I got a Florida State football preview in particular that'll be coming out tomorrow. I got a new podcast with Kevin Brockway that I just recorded. He's the reporter with the Gainesville Sun, who, of course, when we were doing our show before, he was with us. So
I'll be bothering him next week. I got to call Kevin next week to get a little Gator preview on the show. So, yeah.
So there's a ton of content coming up on the Athletic website. And I have a top 100 transfers list that I am almost done with, that Sam Kahn, Bruce Feldman, and I are almost done with, ranking the top 100 transfers, all on fresh intel of what these guys are actually doing, not just their resumes, but what they're actually doing in these places, and who we think will be the best players in college football.
All right, good stuff. Follow him on Twitter at Manny_Navarro, and catch his work there at The Athletic. He'll be back on Friday with his Canes Wear Miami Hurricanes report, and then, of course, the Big Cheese. And
right, we got to talk about that new commitment Miami got.
All right, so we'll get into all the new commitments and all the money flying around, and who are the big cheeses that the Canes are going after on Friday. So every Friday you can find out the latest on that one too. Manny, have a great week, my brother. We will catch up on Friday.
See you Friday, brother. Take care.
Sir. And we'll be back to a normal schedule too. Yeah. Yeah, I drove Manny and everybody crazy with this afternoon stuff and training. What date? What time? And it sucks, man. So, but he hung in there, and I appreciate it immensely. And Caneswear, man, Brett, Jeff, John, all the great people out there. But I love Brett, great human being. And Caneswear has just turned into an institution for all of us. Miami fan wear. They've got Marlins gear there. They've got championship Florida Panthers gear. They've got all kinds of Miami Heat stuff, Miami Dolphins, shirts, hats, you name it, man. And then they got anything and everything with the Canes logo on it, man. Even neon signs for your bar and all that. And if you order over $99, you'll get free shipping. So if you don't live close enough, just go to caneswear.com. And by the way, use our code BIG010. You will get 10% off at caneswear.com. Whether you go online, you can use our code, or you go in person, use our code BIG010. You will get 10% off at caneswear.com.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.